What happens when the life of a young janitor intertwines with the fate of a woman he has never met, but who could change everything? Ethan, a 23-year-old janitor, leads a lonely and exhausting routine working at a restaurant in the United States. Since childhood, he has faced immense challenges, growing up in orphanages that did not provide the love and stability he so desperately desired. Each day, he dreams of having a different life, but reality keeps him trapped in a cycle of hard work and solitude. One night, after a long shift, while walking home, Ethan comes across a scene that will change his destiny. Sitting on a bench, a young woman named Lily is crying, with a lost look and a belly that reveals her pregnancy. Moved by her situation, he makes a risky decision. He takes her inside the restaurant and offers her food, even knowing that this act could cost him his job. The instant connection between them is palpable, but Ethan has no idea that this gesture of kindness will trigger a series of events that will reveal buried secrets and emotional twists. Lily, who also carries a past full of pain, tells Ethan about her life under the control of an abusive stepfather and how she was deceived by a wealthy guy who abandoned her. Desperation led her to beg, and her story deeply touches Ethan's heart. As two worlds collide, the restaurant owner, James, discovers what Ethan has done. However, instead of punishing him, he reveals a shocking truth. Lily may be his biological daughter, lost many years ago. This revelation leaves everyone in shock, and Ethan finds himself in an unexpected role as a mediator between two lost souls. As the story progresses, James's presence becomes a crucial point. Years ago, he had hired a surrogate, but the woman ran away with one of the twins, leaving only one child with him and his wife. Now, Lily's life seems intertwined with that of the man who abandoned her. While Ethan tries to help Lily deal with this new reality, he also confronts his own doubts and fears about the future. He finds himself in love with her, but the shadow of the past and the weight of responsibilities make him question whether he is truly capable of being the man she needs. Tension rises as the mystery of Lily's twin sister, Amanda, begins to unfold. When Amanda reappears, alive and pregnant, after having run away with a boyfriend, the family reunion promises to change everyone's lives forever. James, now reunited with his two daughters, decides that it is time to create new memories and change the course of their lives. He organizes a luxurious wedding for the daughters and their partners, while Ethan and Lily begin to dream of a new life together, with Ethan taking on the role of father to the baby on the way. In this plot full of emotional twists, the story of personal overcoming unfolds, showing that even the most wounded hearts can find their way back to hope and love. Ethan watched the frantic activity of the restaurant as he cleaned the tables. The sound of clattering dishes and the lively conversations of customers seemed like a world apart, distant from his reality. He always wanted more than this, but life seemed to have no space for his dreams. In his mind, the image of Lily, sitting alone on the bench, still overshadowed the tiring routine. What he didn't know was that that night would only be the beginning of a journey filled with challenges and twists. After meeting Lily, Ethan felt torn. James's revelation about the blood connection between him and Lily left him in an emotional whirlwind. He wanted to help, but the weight of responsibility was overwhelming. And how could he, a simple janitor, be the anchor in the storm that Lily's life had become? Each day, as he cleaned the restaurant, he wondered if he had enough strength to face what was to come. At first, James's presence seemed like support. He was a determined man who had faced his own challenges. However, the pressure he exerted on Ethan and Lily to resolve everything quickly began to create palpable tension. James was determined to reunite his family, and while this seemed like a blessing, it also became a source of anxiety. The wedding planned for the daughters was a dream that could become reality, but for Ethan, it also meant losing Lily to a new world of wealth and expectations. Meanwhile, in Lily's life, the situation became increasingly complicated. She was dealing with pregnancy, a physical and emotional weight that left her vulnerable. The echoes of the past, with her abusive stepfather and the abandonment by the guy she loved, haunted her thoughts. Each day, she fought to find her place amid a whirlwind of emotions. The desire to have a family seemed both a blessing and a curse. How could she trust anyone when her life had been marked by betrayals? Ethan tried to be her support, but his own insecurities began to manifest. He felt incapable of meeting Lily's needs. The love he felt for her was deep, but also terrifying. There were moments when he wanted to pull away, fearing that his presence would bring more pain than relief. He wondered if, by confessing his feelings, he would only complicate her life further. Tension escalated when Amanda, Lily's twin sister, reappeared. Ethan had never imagined that life could become so confusing. Amanda brought with her a whirlwind of emotions and, with that, new expectations and responsibilities. James, relieved to have his daughters reunited, began planning for the future. But for Ethan, this meant he could become a mere spectator in Lily's life as she integrated into a reality he did not know. The first significant obstacle arose when James, excited, announced that he wanted Ethan to be responsible for the safety and well-being of his daughters during the wedding preparations. This meant more responsibilities and more pressure. Ethan felt suffocated. He didn't want to be a burden to James or to Lily. The idea that his actions could affect Lily's happiness left him uneasy. What if he failed? What if something happened that made him lose Lily forever? However, Ethan also knew he could not hide forever. He needed to face these challenges not just for Lily, but also for himself. Sitting on his bed after a long day of work, he reflected on his beliefs. Was he really strong enough to confront this new reality? Doubt consumed him, but at the same time, a small voice inside him whispered that this was the opportunity he had always dreamed of, the chance to redeem himself and be someone better. As emotions boiled within him, Ethan remembered the lessons he learned throughout his life. Every hardship he faced in the orphanages had shaped his character, and he realized he could not let the fear of failure paralyze him. Thus, he decided that he needed to be honest with Lily. He would seek her out and share his concerns, even if it meant opening his heart and exposing his weaknesses. Meanwhile, Lily was also grappling with her own internal struggles. The pressure to fit into a new role in James's life and the expectations of being a mother left her feeling confused. She knew she needed support, but what she desired most was to find her own voice in this new world. The longing to maintain her connection with Ethan grew, yet the insecurity about what the future might hold kept her apart from him. The friendship that had blossomed between them was becoming increasingly complex, and both began to wonder if love could truly overcome the obstacles that lay ahead. Night fell slowly, and the restaurant began to empty. Ethan, still sitting on his bed, lost himself in thought. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on his chest, and the pressure of being Lily's protector made him anxious. He didn't know how to handle James's expectations, which seemed to grow with each passing day. The role imposed on him was not something he had chosen. It was a burden he felt he might not be able to bear. Meanwhile, Lily struggled with the growing emotional discomfort that her new life brought. Conversations with James about marriage and family painted an idealized future that left her feeling restless. She wanted to be a loving mother, but the shadow of her past loomed over her. Memories of her stepfather, who had treated her with disdain, and the abandonment by the young man she once loved haunted her. How could she trust a new relationship when her life was filled with disappointments? With each passing day, she questioned whether she was truly capable of being the person James expected. The first major challenge arose when Amanda, Lily's twin sister, began to actively get involved in the wedding preparations. Amanda was outgoing and full of energy, contrasting sharply with Lily's emotional state. While Amanda dreamed of a fairy tale wedding, Lily struggled to find her place in this new world. The pressure to perform well and fit into James's family's expectations intensified. What once was a dream was turning into a nightmare. Ethan, for his part, felt the tension growing between the sisters. He tried to be there for Lily, but there always seemed to be something pulling him away from her. Amanda, with her assertive demeanor, appeared to be becoming James's favorite, which left Ethan feeling insecure. He began to doubt his worth and wondered if he truly belonged in this new family dynamic. With each interaction with Amanda, he felt more like an intruder than a family member. The situation became even more complicated when an unexpected event occurred. During a family dinner, James announced he wanted to have a quick engagement ceremony for Lily and Ethan as a way to solidify the family's unity. To him, it seemed like a way to show the world they were all in this together, but for Ethan, it was a shock. He didn't feel ready. The fear of failure was overwhelming. What if he couldn't be the partner that Lily needed? What if the marriage became an even greater source of pain for her? Subsequent conversations between Ethan and Lily grew increasingly tense. He tried to express his insecurities, but the words seemed to fail him. Lily, feeling pressured, didn't know how to react. The idea of an engagement made her nervous, and the external pressure made her feel as though she needed to be perfect. They became strangers in a space that had once been safe and welcoming. The connection they had started to fray, and both began to wonder if they were truly made for each other. Amidst this turmoil, the return of Lily's ex-boyfriend, Daniel, brought even more complications. He reappeared in town, trying to rekindle the relationship they once had. Daniel was charismatic and had a way that made Lily remember the good times of the past, but this left her conflicted. The desire to reconnect with something familiar tugged at her, while her heart pulled her toward Ethan. Daniel not only challenged the new life she was trying to build, but also stirred up old wounds. Ethan, upon learning of Daniel's presence, felt his insecurity intensify. He was not the type of man to compete for love, but the thought of losing Lily to someone who represented her past consumed him. Conversations between Ethan and Lily became increasingly charged with emotion. He couldn't understand how he could be the man she needed, and the frustration turned into silence, leaving a void between them. The nights were long and lonely, and Ethan found himself in a cycle of doubt. He wondered if he was strong enough to face this new reality. At the same time, a small voice inside him insisted that he couldn't give up. He needed to fight not just for Lily, but for himself. With each new challenge, the lesson of overcoming became clearer. He needed to find a way to confront his limitations and, above all, learn to open up to Lily. However, the pressure of being the support pillar for Lily, while battling his own demons, was becoming unbearable. Each day, the emotional tension grew, and the choice to confront his fears or pull away became increasingly difficult. Ethan knew he needed courage to move forward, but doubt kept him trapped. He stood on the brink of a decision that could change the course of their lives, and the fear of what could happen left him paralyzed. Ethan sat on the edge of the bed, his thoughts swirling in his mind like leaves in the wind. He felt stuck in a cycle of insecurities, unable to make a clear decision about what to do next. The weight of expectation on his shoulders seemed to increase with each passing day, especially now that Daniel had returned to Lily's life. The idea of a quick engagement proposed by James no longer made sense to him. On the contrary, it felt like unbearable pressure. That night, as the city lights began to twinkle through the window, an unexpected event occurred. Ethan's phone rang, interrupting his whirlwind of thoughts. It was Amanda, Lily's twin sister. With a tense tone, she asked him to meet her at a nearby cafe. Something in her voice made him uneasy, but he agreed. When he arrived, he found Amanda with red, swollen eyes, as if she had been crying. "Ethan, I need to talk to you," she said, her voice trembling. "It's about Lily." Ethan's heart raced. What could have happened? Amanda explained that Lily was feeling completely overwhelmed with everything. The pressure of the wedding, Daniel's presence, and the expectation of being the perfect daughter for James were crushing her. To make matters worse, she had isolated herself from everyone, including him. She doesn't know what to do anymore. She's thinking about running away, Amanda revealed, a look of despair on her face. Amanda's words hit Ethan like a blow. He felt a wave of panic and guilt. He hadn't realized how badly Lily was doing. He had always focused on his own insecurities and hadn't noticed that she was struggling too. The revelation made him reconsider everything that had happened up to that point. With a new sense of urgency, Ethan decided he needed to act. He couldn't let Lily feel this way, nor could he allow the pressures of life to push her away from him forever. He had to show her that he was by her side, that she didn't have to face this alone. The thought of losing Lily scared him more than anything, and he knew he had to confront his own shortcomings if he wanted to help her. That very night, Ethan headed to Lily's house. The journey felt longer than ever, and his heart raced. He was determined to talk to her, to open his heart and show her that despite his insecurities, he was capable of being the support she needed. Upon arriving, he hesitated at the door, but urgency pushed him inside. Lily was sitting on the couch, looking lost in her own thoughts. When she saw him, her eyes briefly lit up, but quickly dimmed again. "What are you doing here, Ethan?" she asked, her voice low and tired. "I came because I'm worried about you," he replied, sincerity shining through his words. "Amanda told me how you're feeling. I didn't know it was this bad, and I feel like I'm not doing enough." She looked away, as if trying to find words that weren't there. "I don't know if I can handle all of this, Ethan. The wedding, the pressure to be perfect, and now Daniel. It's too much." Ethan felt his heart tighten. He moved closer to her, sitting on the couch. "Lily, I understand that this is all difficult, but you don't have to be perfect. No one is. I also feel like I'm struggling. I'm afraid I'm not what you need, but I want to try. I want to be by your side. I can't promise that I'll be perfect, but I can promise that I'll be here, no matter what happens." Lily looked at him, and for the first time in a long time, an expression of hope began to form on her face. "Do you really want this?" she asked, her voice hesitant. "Yes, I want it. For both of us. Let's face this together," he affirmed, taking her hand. The connection between them began to resurface, and the pressure that had once pushed them apart started to dissipate. At that moment, Ethan understood that true strength didn't lie in being perfect, but in being vulnerable. He realized that confronting his flaws and uncertainties was part of the path to building something real and meaningful with Lily. This revelation not only changed his perspective on their relationship, but also motivated him to become the best version of himself. The emotional tension that had previously consumed them began to transform into a stronger bond. They were ready to face the challenges ahead, together. And looking into Lily's eyes, Ethan felt he had finally found the way to be the man he had always wanted to be, not just for her, but for himself as well. Ethan sat beside Lily, holding her hand firmly. The connection felt fragile, but it was enough for both of them to feel they could face whatever came their way. In the days that followed, he made an effort to be present. His presence brought a small relief to Lily, but it also brought forth a new series of challenges. She began to open up more, sharing her fears and insecurities. Each conversation revealed a new layer of complexity in her life. Ethan realized that the path to Lily's recovery wouldn't be easy. She was surrounded by expectations, and Daniel's return only complicated things further. He was a constant reminder of what Lily could have, of what she might want. However, each day Ethan tried to be a support. He encouraged her to express herself, to not keep her feelings bottled up. Yet, while trying to help Lily, he also found himself battling his own insecurities. The fear of not being enough never completely disappeared. Sometimes he caught himself wondering if Lily truly wanted to be by his side or if she just needed someone to fill the void during this vulnerable moment. Those thoughts haunted him even in the simplest moments, like when they walked together in the park or had coffee. One morning, while having coffee, Lily looked out the window and commented on the sunny day. "It seems like a perfect day to go out and forget everything for a moment," she said with a shy smile. Ethan felt an urge to seize that moment, but the shadow of Daniel loomed over them. "Do you want to go somewhere?" he asked, trying to mask his apprehension. "Maybe. I just don't know if I want to see him," Lily replied, hesitant. Ethan could feel the tension in her voice. It was a dilemma that seemed to persist. Daniel's presence was not just an obstacle, it was a constant reminder that Lily's choices could be different. That afternoon, Ethan decided they needed to face this together. He suggested they go to the park where they used to spend time together before the complications arose. "Let's do something that makes us feel free, even if just for a moment," he said, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. Lily agreed and they went. The park was full of life, and the laughter of children playing brought a sense of normalcy. But Lily's mind was still restless. As they walked, she stopped at a bench and looked at Ethan. "Do you really think I'm making the right choice by being with you?" she asked, insecurity showing through. Ethan took a deep breath, aware that those words echoed his own fears. "I can't decide for you, Lily, but I can say that I want to be here, regardless of your choice. I don't want you to feel pressured. What matters is that you are happy and feel free to be who you really are." Ethan's words seemed to touch something inside her. Lily smiled, but the shadow of doubt still lingered. "What if I decide that I need some time alone? What if Daniel is the right person for me?" she questioned, her voice low. Ethan felt a tightness in his chest but knew he had to be honest. "If you feel you need that, I will respect it. But I want you to know that I will be here whenever you need me. No matter what happens between you and Daniel, I want you to be happy." Ethan's sincerity made Lily reflect. She knew her life was full of difficult decisions, and the internal struggle was more intense than she had imagined. But in that moment, she felt she had found an ally, someone who truly cared about her well-being. In the days that followed, Ethan realized that the journey toward mutual understanding and acceptance would not be linear. He felt stronger, but the pressure of expectations still followed him. He began attending a support group where he could share his insecurities and hear the stories of others. This helped him see that he was not alone in his struggles. Meanwhile, Lily began to explore her feelings more consciously. She had difficult conversations with Daniel that forced her to confront what she truly wanted. His return challenged her to seek the truth within herself, but it also made her realize how much Ethan meant to her. Their interactions became deeper, but there were still days when doubt lingered. Ethan, aware of this, made an effort to be understanding. He knew that love was not just about being present, but also about giving space when necessary. Their journey was far from over, but the connection they had begun to rebuild was strong enough to face the storms ahead. Ethan realized that the true challenge would be accepting the uncertainty of the future, but now he was prepared to face whatever came, with Lily by his side. And even though the road would be filled with obstacles, the love they were cultivating promised to be a light in the darkest hours. Ethan found himself in a moment of introspection. His conversations with Lily and the meetings at the support group led him on an internal journey he had never imagined. He began to realize that, for too long, he had put others' needs before his own, neglecting his own emotions and insecurities. Now, as he reflected on his experiences, it became clear that he needed to learn to trust himself more. Ethan's internal struggle was not just against doubt about his worth, but also against the fear of losing Lily. By hearing the stories of people who gathered in the group, he began to understand that life was not just about seeking others' approval. There was a profound value in accepting help and recognizing that he did not have to face everything alone. He started to open up to the idea that it was okay to ask for support, that this did not mean weakness, but rather strength. One afternoon, while walking through the park, Ethan caught a glimpse of a new perspective. He saw children playing, laughing, and having fun without a care in the world. He remembered how simple it was to be happy. This simplicity reflected in his desire to rebuild his life, not just around Lily, but around who he truly was. He decided that, regardless of what happened between them, he could not let his happiness depend on another person. Lily, for her part, was also undergoing a transformation. Her conversations with Daniel led her to confront her own feelings and desires. She realized that, while Daniel played a role in her life, he was not the only answer to her insecurities. Ethan's presence made her ponder what she truly wanted, and this reflection led her to a new understanding of love and friendship. She began to see that true success was not about being with someone like Daniel, but in finding peace and contentment within herself. As the days passed, Ethan and Lily continued to support each other. Their friendship evolved, and soon they became allies in the quest for self-discovery. Their conversations grew deeper, and their silences became more comfortable. Ethan began to apply the lessons he learned in the support group, sharing his vulnerabilities with Lily. He talked about his fears and insecurities, and this brought them even closer. One day, while walking in a new park, Ethan decided it was time to be completely honest. He stopped and looked into Lily's eyes. "I want you to know that no matter what you decide, I will be here to support you. But I also need you to know that for too long, I let my insecurities speak louder than I did. I want to learn to trust myself and to be happy, with or without you by my side." Ethan's words touched Lily deeply. She realized that he was finally breaking free from the chains that kept him bound to his insecurities. "Ethan, I admire your courage. I am also learning to free myself. What I want now is to understand what is best for me without external pressures." This moment of shared vulnerability was a turning point. They both realized that they could face their internal and external challenges together, but also individually. The friendship they cultivated deepened, creating a safe space where they could be true to one another. In the following months, Ethan continued to engage in the support group, where he found a new sense of belonging. He began to apply the lessons he learned in his daily life, seeking a balance between his needs and Lily's. He learned to value his own passions and interests, which helped him feel more complete. Lily, for her part, decided that she needed time to explore her feelings before making any decisions about Daniel. She began to engage in new hobbies, making friendships that helped her grow. This new phase of her life made her realize that love was not just about being with someone, but also about loving and respecting oneself. Ethan and Lily's journey was not linear, but each challenge brought them closer together. They learned to communicate openly, to face uncertainty, and to support one another. Through overcoming insecurities and building a solid friendship, they both began to realize that true growth comes from within. They were transforming into more authentic versions of themselves, ready to face whatever came their way, together or apart, but always with open hearts and minds willing to learn. Ethan was at a crucial point in his journey. After months of self-discovery, he felt stronger and more confident, but an unexpected challenge was approaching. During a casual conversation with Lily, she mentioned that she had received a job offer in another city. This opportunity seemed perfect for her, but the idea that Lily might leave shook all the progress Ethan had made. The fear of losing the friendship he valued so much began to take over his thoughts. That day, Ethan decided he needed to face the situation head-on. He knew that letting his insecurities dominate the moment was not an option. At the same time, the idea of not having Lily nearby made him anxious. He recalled the lessons he had learned in the support group: face fears, express feelings, and above all, be honest with himself and others. When he met her at the park, where many of their deep conversations had taken place, he felt a knot in his stomach. The sun was beginning to set, creating an atmosphere that reflected his internal confusion. He took a deep breath, reminding himself that vulnerability was a sign of strength. "Lily," he began, his voice slightly trembling. "I need to talk about what you mentioned earlier, about your job." She looked at him, her expression a mix of curiosity and concern. "Of course, Ethan. What do you think about it?" He hesitated, but the words began to flow. "I want you to succeed and follow your dreams. That's important. But to be honest, I feel fear. Fear that if you go, I will lose not just a friend, but someone who has been a fundamental part of my life. This friendship means a lot to me." Lily listened intently, her eyes reflecting understanding. "Ethan, I'm worried about that too. You've become someone very special to me, and the idea of moving away is hard. But I can't pass up an opportunity that could be incredible for my career." Her words hit Ethan like a wave. He felt the pain of the possibility of losing Lily, but at the same time, he began to understand that life was about choices. He didn't want to be the type of friend who imposed barriers. Instead, he wanted to support her happiness, even if that meant a physical distance between them. "I don't want to be an obstacle for you," he said, feeling more resolute. "I want you to follow your path. What I wish is that, regardless of the distance, we can maintain our friendship. I'm learning to trust myself, and part of that involves accepting that people sometimes need to move on." In that moment, the tension began to dissipate. Lily smiled, and her eyes sparkled with a mix of relief and admiration. "Ethan, you've really evolved. I'm so proud of you. Your strength and sincerity inspire me." The connection between them strengthened in that instant. They were both ready to face whatever came their way, no matter how difficult it might be. Ethan realized that his journey was not only about him, it was also about supporting those he loved, allowing them to grow and explore new opportunities. "So, what are you going to do?" he asked, curious. "I still need to think. But regardless of my decision, I want you to know that you will always have a special place in my life," Lily replied. Ethan smiled, feeling a huge weight lift off his shoulders. He had faced his greatest challenge, not only by confronting his fears but also by allowing himself to love someone genuinely, even if it meant giving up something that seemed secure. He learned that true love and friendship do not depend on physical proximity but on the emotional connection that is built over time. As the sun set, they walked together, side by side, in silence, comfortable in each other's presence. Their friendship had become an unbreakable bond, And even with the uncertainty of the future, Ethan knew he had found his inner strength. He had freed himself from the chains of fear and was finally ready to embrace life, no matter what it had in store for him. After that day in the park, Ethan felt light, as if he had freed himself from a burden he had been carrying for a long time. His conversation with Lily had been a turning point for him, not only because he had expressed his fears, but also because he now understood the value of letting others follow their paths, even if it meant a change in their dynamic. In the days that followed, Ethan allowed himself to reflect on everything he had learned. He began to focus on his own journey, dedicating himself to projects he had put aside for too long. Art, which had always been a passion, found its place in his routine. He enrolled in a painting course, something he had always wanted to do but never had the courage to attempt. The classes were a new world for him, a space where he could express himself without fear of judgment. Each brushstroke seemed to bring a piece of his soul to the surface, and as the days passed, he felt more complete. Meanwhile, Lily made her decision. She chose to accept the job offer, a choice that excited and nervous her at the same time. In a video call, she shared her concerns and expectations about the new adventure that awaited her. She admitted, looking at the screen with a nervous smile, that she was excited but also a bit scared since everything was so new. Ethan, with a glimmer of understanding in his eyes, replied that it was normal to feel that way. New experiences can be challenging, but he believed in her. He reminded her not to forget that he would be there, cheering her on, no matter the distance. The emotional connection between the two grew stronger with each conversation. They became more intentional about staying in touch, scheduling weekly calls and exchanging messages every day. Ethan learned to cherish Lily's presence, even if virtually, and their friendship transformed into a mutual support system where they could share their joys and challenges, regardless of location. On the other hand, Ethan also noticed changes in his social life. With Lily's departure, he began to open up to new friendships. He participated in art groups and started interacting with people who shared his interests. Although he missed Lily, he realized there was a world beyond their friendship, a world he was ready to explore. The insecurities that once paralyzed him were now just distant memories. At one of the art gatherings, he met Tanya, a local artist who inspired him with her ideas and creative vision. They began working together on a community project, and the new friendship brought a fresh breath of life to Ethan. He felt excited and motivated, and the exchange of ideas and experiences with Tanya helped him grow even more. Her presence in his life did not replace Lily's but complemented the new phase he was experiencing. One night, while in his studio, Ethan received a message from Lily. She greeted him as an artist, asking how things were going. He smiled reading her words. He replied that everything was going well, that he was working on something new and feeling more confident. He then asked her how the new city was treating her. The responses came quickly, filled with enthusiasm. Lily shared her experiences, the people she had met, and how much life was changing for her. Ethan felt a mix of pride and longing. He expressed how happy he was for her, acknowledging that she was truly making things happen, and he was there cheering her on. This exchange of messages made Ethan realize that even though they were in different places, their friendship had transformed without being lost. He remembered what he had learned. True friendship is one that survives distances and changes. With this new perspective, Ethan felt more secure about his own path. In the months that followed, they continued to support each other and grow. Ethan finally understood that life is a journey of ups and downs, where everyone must follow their own rhythm. He became a stronger and more understanding friend, learning to let love and friendship flow, even if in different directions. With each new achievement of Lily's, Ethan felt more inspired to seek his own victories. And so, even though they were far apart, they continued to walk together, each on their own journey but always connected by the bond they had built. Their friendship was no longer just about physical closeness. It was a deep connection, sustained by trust and mutual support. Ethan reflected on everything he had experienced in the past months. He remembered the weight he had carried before, the insecurity that paralyzed him, and the feeling of being trapped in an endless cycle. The conversation in the park with Lily had been the first step toward change. Now, looking back, he realized that every small decision had taken a significant turn in his life. By allowing himself to explore his passion for art, he not only rediscovered a part of himself but also found a new purpose. Friendship with Lily, although challenged by distance, transformed into something even more valuable. They learned to support each other in ways they never imagined, sharing achievements and challenges. Daily messages, video calls, and the constant exchange of experiences strengthened a bond that transcended physical proximity. For Ethan, true friendship was one that remained alive regardless of circumstances. He knew that Lily's growth inspired him, and at the same time, he became a source of strength for her. Additionally, the new friendship with Tanya brought a breath of life and creativity to his world. Collaborating with her on community projects not only broadened his artistic horizons but also helped him see the beauty of diversity in human relationships. Each interaction, each shared laugh, made him realize that it was possible to build new connections and that these new friendships did not diminish the importance of his relationship with Lily. On the contrary, they complemented it. Over time, Ethan learned that success was not just about material achievements or recognition. True success, for him, lay in finding joy in the little things, allowing himself to be vulnerable, and celebrating his friends' victories. He understood that life is made of new beginnings and that each challenge brings with it a lesson. Thus, he felt stronger and more prepared to face whatever came next. As the months unfolded, Ethan and Lily continued to grow, each on their own journey. They became examples for each other, showing that true strength lies in the ability to go beyond one's own limits. Their friendship became a beacon amid uncertainty, illuminating their paths and reminding them that they were never alone. Finally, on a sunny afternoon, Ethan received a message from Lily. She was back in town for a brief visit and suggested they meet. Ethan's heart leaped with joy. When they reunited, the hug they shared was more than a greeting. It was a symbol of everything they had faced and overcome together. They talked for hours, laughing and reminiscing about the adventures they had lived. Both realized that despite the changes, the essence of their friendship remained intact. At the end of that day, as they walked together through a park, Ethan looked at Lily and said, "Life is full of surprises, isn't it? And I am grateful to have you by my side, even when we are apart." Lily smiled, and Ethan felt that despite the challenges, everything was exactly where it was meant to be. And so, they moved forward, each on their journey but always connected. Ethan's transformation was not just about rediscovering his passion but about learning to value the relationships he built along the way. He understood that life is a tapestry made of experiences, and each thread, each friendship, contributes to the beauty of the whole. If you have also gone through changes and challenges, share your story in the comments. Let's celebrate victories and new beginnings together. Remember that your experience can inspire someone to take the next step. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that connect us and make us reflect on the beauty of human relationships.